My name is Stella, and I have been married for 5 years. For a long time, I believed my marriage was built on love, patience, and understanding. I trusted my husband with my whole heart, never imagining that the person I leaned on the most would become the source of my deepest pain. 3 years ago, my world came crashing down when I discovered that my husband was having an affair with my stepsister. The discovery shattered me in ways I cannot fully explain. It wasn't just the betrayal from my husband that hurt, it was who he chose to betray me with. My stepsister had always been the favorite child in my family. No matter what happened, my parents always took her side and made excuses for her behavior, while I was often ignored or blamed. My mother passed away when I was still young, and my father later married another woman. That marriage brought my stepsister into my life. From the very beginning, it was clear that she was treated differently. She received more love, more attention, and more understanding, while I was constantly reminded, sometimes directly, sometimes silently, that I came second. My husband knew all of this. He knew how unloved and unwanted I often felt in my own family. Yet, despite knowing my wounds, he still chose to hurt me in the worst way possible. I felt completely broken. I carried the pain quietly because I had no one to turn to. Telling my father or stepmother was never an option. I already knew how that story would end. They would defend her, justify her actions, and leave me feeling even more alone. At the same time, I was terrified of losing my marriage. I truly loved my husband, and the thought of our relationship falling apart scared me more than the pain I was already carrying. I was afraid to confront him directly. I didn't have the strength to face his reaction or confirm the truth out loud. Instead, one day, I gently sat him down and suggested that we go for couples counseling. I told him I felt we were growing distant and that I wanted us to reconnect. He said he would think about it and give me an answer. That answer never came. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into silence. Slowly, the weight of everything began to consume me. I slipped into a deep sadness that I could not explain to anyone. I lost interest in things that once mattered to me. I stopped taking care of myself, and eventually, I lost my job. What hurt the most was that my husband didn't seem to notice or care. It took him 2 whole weeks to realize that I was no longer going to work. By then, we were no longer acting like a married couple. We lived under the same roof, but emotionally, we were miles apart. We spoke less, avoided each other, and shared nothing beyond basic routines. In my desperation, I convinced myself that maybe having a child would bring us closer. I thought a baby might heal what was broken and give us a reason to fight for our marriage. But the moment I brought up the idea, everything changed. That conversation marked the end of whatever little closeness we still had. From that day on, our relationship became cold and distant, leaving me feeling more alone than I had ever felt in my life. After 7 long months of living in sadness and isolation, something unexpected happened. My father-in-law, my husband's father, came to visit. I hadn't been expecting anyone, and when he arrived, he found me alone in the house. The silence in the home was heavy, and so was the sadness in my heart. We sat together and talked for a while, just simple conversation at first, but he kept looking at me with concern. He finally asked me what was wrong. He said I didn't look like myself and that something about me felt different. That question broke something inside me. All the pain I had been holding in for months came rushing out. I started crying, uncontrollably. I cried for a long time, almost 20 minutes, while telling him everything. I told him about the betrayal, the loneliness, the depression, the job I lost, the distance in my marriage, and how empty my life had started to feel. It was the first time I had said everything out loud to anyone. He listened quietly. He didn't interrupt me. He didn't judge me. He just sat there and let me speak. When I was finally calm, he asked me a simple question: what do I really want? I told him the truth. I said I still loved my husband and that, deep down, I wanted to try to save my marriage. He nodded and told me something I will never forget. He said, "It's okay to want to save your relationship, but you must learn to love yourself first. You cannot fix anything if you are broken inside." From that day, something changed between us. We began talking more often. He checked on me regularly, asked how I was feeling, and made sure I wasn't alone too much. He even invited me to go golfing with his friends, just to get me out of the house and help me feel normal again. He started taking me out more, simple outings, long drives, quiet lunches, peaceful moments that made me feel human again. Slowly, I started to feel alive. I started smiling again. I started feeling seen again. I started feeling valued again. During all of this, my husband was barely around. He hardly came home, and when he did, he felt like a stranger. I slowly stopped paying attention to him. I stopped caring whether he was present or not. My emotional connection to him faded without me even realizing it. My heart had grown tired of waiting. At the same time, my relationship with my father-in-law became closer. The bond grew deeper, and the lines that should never be crossed slowly became blurred. What started as emotional closeness turned into something more personal and private. A secret connection formed between us, one that neither of us planned, but neither of us stopped. It became a hidden part of my life, something I never imagined would happen. Then suddenly, my husband started coming home more often. He tried to act like a husband again. He tried to rebuild closeness and start conversations. He tried to initiate affection. But I had changed. My heart was no longer with him. Every time he tried, I turned him down. There was nothing left inside me to give him. 2 months later, my life changed again. I discovered I was pregnant. When I told my father-in-law, he was happy. And for the first time in a long time, I was happy too. He told me that I deserved a new life, a fresh start, and real love. He said he was ready to leave everything behind and go with me to another country, to start over together. He told me he would stand by me and support me fully. By then, I had already started the divorce process with my husband. The papers were in motion, and the decision had been made in my heart. But I had not yet told him about the pregnancy. And I had not yet told him that the end of our marriage was finally coming. Everything was changing, and I was standing in the middle of a life I never planned, facing a future I never imagined, carrying secrets that could change everything.